Is 2026 the summer that Arsenal finally become René Slegers' team? That might sound wild given that René Slegers has been in charge for nearly a year and a half and is already a European and world champion. But of the 22 players who started a game for Arsenal in any competition this season, only 5 of them were signed by René Slegers. 11 of them were there under Jonas Eidevall, 6 of them were signed even before Eidevall. Since René Slegers took over in October 2024, Arsenal have signed 6 players permanently. Manchester City signed 7 players this year alone, and Chelsea signed 5 just this summer. A lot has been made of the fact that the average age of the squad is over 27 and that 10 senior players are going to leave the club this summer, if a new contract isn't signed. One of those, thanks to The Guardian, we know is already very likely to leave, that's Katie McCabe, and with Ona Batcher potentially coming in, still just 26 despite everything she's done and won in the game, there's already a little bit of a refresh there. Batcher can play on either the right or the left-hand side, and is much more likely to get forward and beat a player down the line rather than cross from deep like Katie McCabe. That brings Arsenal's wide players more into the game inside rather than trying to beat their players on the outside and cross, which is what Arsenal have been doing for much of this season. And that leads on to the point where most of the refresh actually needs to happen. Central midfield. Even in a slightly stuttering campaign, Arsenal are in the top 6 for most metrics in the Champions League for progressive passes, and at or near the top for most in the WSL. But if you look at the players who are actually creating the chances for Arsenal this season, in both the League and the Champions League, only Frida Leonardson-Mornham really counts as a midfielder in the top 5, and she's in number 10, not a central midfielder. You look at the central midfielders, Kim Little, who's 36 years old, is the top at number 6. Well, it looks like that might be being addressed too, in the form of Georgia Stanway. Arsenal went quite hard at Kira Walsh a couple of seasons ago, and there is clearly a need for a player who can allow players such as Arsenal's wingers, Arsenal's forwards, Arsenal's number 10s and 8s, to do damage, get closer to Alessia Russo so that Russo doesn't have to keep dropping deep and be the number 10 and the number 9 simultaneously for 90 or 120 minutes, as in the Champions Cup final. René Slegers has done remarkable work already. Watch what happens when she makes it her team.